Welcome back to The Explainer. So if you're looking to take total, complete control of your local SEO, you are in the exact right place today. We're unpacking a highly requested and, frankly, incredibly vital topic, mastering your Google Business Profile categories for 2026. Listen to this hard-hitting reality check straight from our source material. Pick the wrong category, and Google sends you the wrong leads. It is literally that simple, and the stakes are exactly that high. You could have the most gorgeous, optimized website in the world, but if this one single setting is wrong, you're practically invisible to your ideal customer. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to cover the local search foundation, mistakes that ruin leads, how to find your primary category, using secondary categories wisely, handling imperfect matches, and finally, updating and maintenance. Starting off with Section 1, the local search foundation, which is way more than just an admin task. I really need you to think of your category as the ultimate gatekeeper for your business. It is not just administrative paperwork. Your primary category is actually the single strongest ranking signal for local search visibility and lead quality. It completely dictates whether you attract the specific work you actually want to do. Think of it like a massive filter between you and potential customers. Let's look at Section 2, mistakes that ruin leads. It's time to stop sabotaging your profile. Before we build a winning strategy, we gotta look at what's fundamentally broken. Here are the most common pitfalls you need to avoid. First, choosing overly broad industry labels just because they feel kind of safer. Second, category stuffing. Filling all 10 slots because you assume more visibility is always better. Third, picking a category based on future aspirations, like a service you haven't even launched yet. Fourth, chasing high search volume keywords instead of focusing on accuracy. And finally, blindly copying competitors. We really need to debunk the myth right now that more categories equal more traffic. Category stuffing simply doesn't work. The source material brilliantly calls this muddying the signal. When you cram in excessive or irrelevant categories, you just blur your focus. So instead of getting more leads, you actively confuse Google's algorithm and end up attracting non-converting, low-quality traffic that just completely wastes your time. Which brings us to Section 3, finding your primary category using the specificity rule. So how exactly do we fix a muddy signal? Just remember this mantra: specificity equals lead quality. Take a look at the contrast here. You've got broad, weak choices like simply restaurant, dentist, or law firm, compared to highly specific, strong choices like pizza restaurant, pediatric dentist, or personal injury attorney. I want you to really visualize this. If you're a pediatric dentist and you just use the broad dentist label, Google might show you to someone looking for adult dental implants. A hyper-specific label perfectly filters out those totally irrelevant inquiries. To nail down that perfect primary category, our source suggests asking yourself 4 rapid-fire diagnostic questions. First up, what do customers usually call you for first? Take a second and just answer that in your head right now. Okay, here's question 2. What service brings in the most revenue or gets you the absolute best jobs? This is a great one because it ties your primary category directly to your bottom line business goals. It ensures you're actually ranking for what pays the bills. Question 3. Imagine someone calls in. What would your front desk say if asked, "Hey, what kind of business is this?" This question completely forces you to drop the industry jargon and find a simple, real-world conversational definition for what you do. And the final diagnostic piece of the puzzle: what category perfectly matches your homepage, your signage, and your invoices? Because if the answers to all 4 of these questions are pointing in the exact same direction, boom, congratulations, you have found your primary category. You might actually want to pause the explainer right here for a second to look at this. It's a fantastic cheat sheet. Looking at how this theory translates into reality, you can clearly see strong primary categories versus useful additional ones for a pizza shop, a law firm, a dental practice, and an HVAC company. Notice how that HVAC company uses HVAC contractor as the primary and strictly saves air conditioning contractor for a supporting role. Let's move into Section 4, using those secondary categories wisely. Let's talk about the supporting cast. Think of your secondary category slots strictly as your supporting cast. They are not the main characters. And the rule here is incredibly strict. You should only add secondary categories for legitimate services that customers can buy today and that your team handles directly. If you subcontract the work out, or if you're just hoping to launch that service next year, leave it off your profile entirely. Otherwise, you're going to risk muddying that signal all over again. Section 5. Handling imperfect matches, because let's face it, perfect doesn't always exist. Now, I know for sure some of you are sitting there thinking, well, my business is totally unique and just doesn't fit in a neat little box. So what do you do if there's literally no perfect match for you in Google's database? Honestly, it's a super common and completely valid frustration for highly niche businesses. Well, here is your battle plan if you fall into that imperfect match category. First, just select the absolute closest accurate primary service available. Second, whatever you do, avoid using broad filler categories just to take up space. Third, and this one is absolutely crucial, heavily optimize your services section in your website. Since the category label itself isn't perfect, you've got to provide Google with extra context on your site. And finally, use a tool like Pleeper's Category Finder to check for live, updated lists. Showing consistency across your website and services section is exactly what builds the trust Google needs to rank you properly. And our final section, Section 6, updating and maintenance. Let's actually execute this strategy. So how do we execute this safely in the back end? Now, what's really interesting about this whole setup is that Google absolutely does not view your category in a vacuum. You have to ensure that your primary category aligns perfectly with your website, your services menu, and even your photos. Google evaluates that category in the context of your entire online presence to determine if you're the real deal. Okay, here's a quick action checklist so you can feel totally empowered to make these changes as soon as this explainer wraps up. 1. Sign into your managing account and search your business name on Google. 2. Click Edit Profile and open the Business Category section. 3. Set your primary category first. Don't even worry about secondary ones yet. And 4. Save those changes and then make absolutely sure your services and website align with the new setup. But hey, a huge word of caution here. You can totally review your categories quarterly, but you must avoid changing them every few days. Seriously, do not micromanage the profile. Google literally needs time to process these ranking shifts. Just give the profile time to settle, be patient, and let those new, highly specific leads start flowing in. So, we're going to leave you with this one final provocative thought to mull over regarding your own setup. Does your current primary category perfectly match the exact phone call you want to receive today? If the answer is no, well, you now have the exact roadmap to go fix it. Thank you so much for joining us on this explainer, and we will see you next time.